Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am Lainie Sevante Wulkan, HEC's Online Global Sales Director, and I'm also in charge of these amazing community education panels that are highlighting wonderful group of our HCC members. We have so many incredible members, and the ones that are showing up on these panels have so much wisdom to share with all of you. So thank you for being here live today. And if you are tuning into Facebook or LinkedIn, or you're choosing YouTube channel, however it is, we're glad you're here and you can share it with others. I think I'm going to have all of our panelists just right now go ahead and mute, and then we will just unmute you in just a second. Today's panel, of course, is about strengthening your immune system. And this is a topic that just because we've been going through COVID, that's the hot topic. But honestly, this is something that we've always needed to understand better. And tonight's panel is going to really enhance that because we have such a diverse group of ladies, and all of us come with different ways and viewpoints and modalities, techniques, and expertise. So I'm excited that you'll get to hear that. But of course, the last year has really brought this to light how important it is to take care of our immune system more than ever. And when COVID has gone away, hopefully soon, we need to remember what we learned here tonight, and in every way that you can learn how to strengthen your immune system, because this is for any other dis-ease or any other issues that may be coming our way, including just wanting to secure longevity and stop the aging process from being accelerated for different things you might even hear tonight. So I'm really honored and privileged to be moderating here. I also am the co-author of the Food Healing Oracle deck. So I work with clients all the time in wellness about immunity. So this is a passionate subject of mine. And I couldn't be in better company of having these ladies here. So let me get to that and introduce who is here. I'm going to start, it's not in order, but that's okay. I'm going to start with you, Alice. Alice Emerson, you may know her because she is also one of our fellow HCC presidents in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. Did I say that right? I think I did. Let me read you a little bit about Alice, and then she could say hello. Alice is a health and wellness, I'm going to say an advocate, but her platform is to amplify one of complete well-being and really encourage others to do so. So she has a lot to say. She's also a CDC certified divorce transition and recovery coach with her business Divorce to Recovery. So she's got a lot of different expertise. Do you want to just unmute and say hello? And if you all have quiet in your background, go ahead and everybody unmute. So Alice, say hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me. Yes, the background does, it does lead to the immune system, I promise, even with the Divorce to Recovery. And I'll explain how I got there when that time comes. So thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
I'm thrilled you're here. Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Tracy Diner with Magnitude Jewelry. And by the way, it seems like Maryland is big in the house tonight. So yay, Maryland. And I know we have South Carolina and we have Floridians here. So a little bit about Dr. Tracy Diner. She is a wellness doctor and a chiropractor for over 25 years, certified applied kinesiologist, cranial specialist, and she provides high-tech technologies, treatments to patients for years. But what has brought her now is that she is the co-creator of Magnitude Jewelry. It's a hot item. We all love it. It's a biomagnetic interchangeable health fashion jewelry. And she will tell you more about what it is. And I have to say thank you, because this evening has been made possible by Magnitude Jewelry. Not only is she a panelist, but Dr. Tracy's company is our sponsor tonight. So thank you, Dr. Tracy.
You are welcome. Well, thanks for having me. This is great. What a great opportunity for all of us to share what our knowledge is, and we come from different backgrounds. So I'm looking forward to listening as well as talking.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think we're all going to walk away with ahas and wows all night long. Next, we have Emily Underwood, and I love it. And I'm just saying this, and I mentioned this off air, that some of us have been in business for 25 years. And then we have someone who is a 25-year-old who's leading the charge for her generation. And to me, I think that's really significant that she's here with us, that all of us are spanning different different influences for different lengths of time, and all making immunity a powerful and important piece. Emily Underwood is a 25-year-old from Baltimore, Maryland, who has dedicated her life to educating people on the importance of proper hydration beyond just quantity by instead of focusing on quality. She is considered a filtration and ionization expert by her peers in the water sphere and has changed over 100 families' lives by changing their water. Yay, Emily, welcome.
Thank you so much. And I agree with Dr. Tracy. I'm looking forward to connecting dots with you ladies and learning as well as speaking.
So you can already see that we have a diverse group. Well, we're rounding it out perfectly with Deb Martine from Lotus Blossom Clinic. I have to just say personally, the doctor, I was almost going to call you Dr. Deb. Deb Martine was very active with me when I had 3 chapters in presidencies in Florida. And so she's no stranger to HCC. She also was a key advocate in running those panels with me there. So Deb, thank you so much for being here. Deb Martine is the co-owner of Lotus Blossom Clinic here in South Fort Myers, Florida. She is trained in using food as medicine and trains and consults the clinic patients under the direction of her husband, Dr. David Martine, a doctor of Oriental medicine. She's multi-talented. I said it again. Wonder what that means. Hi, Deb. Why don't you say hello?
Okay, well, you know, maybe I should go get the doctor thing done, right?
I know, twice.
No, there seem to be some messages there. I really appreciate being on here and being a creator with you on some of these amazing panels and just being in the space of being able to share, to create this platform. And thank you for your, I mean, just ever love and support and untiring dedication to what you do to provide these kinds of opportunities for all of us. So thank you.
Oh, it's thank you. My honor, my pleasure. And I also have my own podcast and people say, how do you know this or that? And it's because when we're all soaking up the knowledge of one another, I mean, it's just a continuous, pleasurable education system. So thank you. So I really want to start off with getting to know a little bit about each and every one of you. And I might not go in that same order. Maybe I actually just start with Dr. Tracy Diner and move over to Deb and then Emily and Alice. But I wanted to have you share with the audience a little bit more about your business. And if you have a personal story or something that really kind of pivoted you or ignited you or activated you into doing the work that you're doing today. So why don't we start with you, Dr. Tracy Diner? Would you like us to call you, by the way, Dr. Tracy or Dr. Diner?
In my practice, I went by Dr. Diner. Now with Magazine Jewelry, I go by Dr. Tracy. So I still work hard to get a doctorate, but I wanted to be more relaxed with it. So,
okay, perfect.
Yeah. So quickly, my background is a wellness doctor, a chiropractor for 25 years and high-tech stuff. I used to use magnets in my clinic. And so I used to talk, you know, if you talk about health, physical, chemical, emotional health, and if you sort of monitor all of those pillars of health, you keep all of them healthy, you have a healthy human being. And maybe about 5 years ago, I realized that we have electrical health that really wasn't being addressed. And it was something that I started to do in my clinic. And then we decided to do it as a interchangeable jewelry with these special magnets. And so now it's instead of a triangle of health, I call it my square of health, because now we have an electrical pillar, which, because we're electric as human beings. And so my new job is to educate people about our bodies and our electrical part of our bodies and how we can protect ourselves from the electrical magnetic fields that we live in a sea of at this time.
So we'll talk a little bit later in this discussion about why electrical health equates to a necessity about your immune system. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. All right, Doctor, I did it again. That's 3. Deb, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your own backstory or what led you to do the work that you're doing? Because I know you do a lot more. You do a lot. You have a wide canvas. So really, I know your passion is immunity. So maybe just share a little bit about the backstory of that and what you do, what all you do.
Okay. Well, you know, there are a number of things that have probably happened to all of us in our lives where something occurred in our health and we sought help in the standard of care in the Western medicine, and maybe we didn't find the answers that we were seeking. And somehow or other, I happened to stumble into someone who knew a chiropractor the first time it happened with me. And this chiropractor had me take a blood test, took a different look at the whole blood test. I mean, she looked at different things. It wasn't just a standard CBC. And she found some things that actually helped me and put me on a food as medicine type of diet. It was about candida for me. And candida can be underneath a lot of different kinds of diseases.
Sure.
So, yeah, so I first learned about the fascinating possibilities of Mother Nature and food with our body with that as my very first experience with it. And then years later, I was involved in a situation in a shower in the Arctic, 120 miles from the North Pole. I won't get into why I was there, but I was there for about 10 days on an oil field site. And I got a whiplash in the shower. It was minus 64 ambient temperature outside, and I just was half awake in January of 1981. And that sent me in 30 years of pain and suffering with my neck. And then somehow I ran into this gal who had healthy chocolate. And I thought, well, you know, that's nice, but I'm looking for people for health fairs. But I ended up discovering that after 6 weeks of actually using this chocolate 3 times a day, it disappeared. I have not had a problem now since 2011. And I suffered for 30 years with that neck pain. So food is medicine. And there's
Yes.
so many amazing foods for your immune system. Wow. So we'll talk about more.
We actually had food as medicine as our panel last month, which I think really brought that awareness to it. And so your contributions this time around will also add to that. Plus you have other aspects to what you do. So I think all of that is going to be wonderful. All right, Emily, let's talk about you. Water filtration and ionization expert at 25. So how long have you been doing this? And maybe just a little bit of a background of what that actually means. We will talk about the immune system, but I'd really love a backstory of like what really, why you resonated to, you know, choosing this as a career path right now.
Honestly, when I first found out about hydration and all the different types of water, I got into the industry because of the money, to be completely honest. I didn't really grow up with a background in health. My family was just kind of like, if something's wrong, suck it up. We don't have money to go to the doctor, brush it off. I was an athlete my whole life. From the outside looking in, I looked very healthy. I had a high muscle content. I was a high performing athlete. I looked great, right? So it was just kind of overlooked. And then when I started drinking the water myself and my body started to change, I realized that I was dealing with a lot of things that were not normal, or they're common, but they're not normal. We see them as normal, right? Cystic acne, not having regular bowel movements, all sorts of things. So when I started to experience this change, I became radically obsessed with figuring out why. And so I just dug super deep into all of the research on Google Scholar, PubMed, watching videos from doctors, and just really listening to people's stories and digging deeper on why they were experiencing what they were experiencing. Then, 2.5 years later, I'm here. I basically can tell you anything about any type of water that exists. And I love what I do. And I love helping people find true health through hydration, because it really is like the essence of life.
Well, thank you for that. I think we're going to be picking your brain a little bit tonight. I think even all of us were like, wow, let's ask her. Ask Emily. All right, Alice. Alice, the wellness advocate and founding member of Happiness. Tell us a little bit about your backstory, what brought you here, and why you're passionate about sharing wisdom about the immune system and strengthening it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, well, my story started a long time ago, probably when I was about Emily's age, and them just becoming diagnosed with things over and over again that, like you said, you just get used to it. Okay, I have IBS. I am, dealing with constipation, and then it becomes chronic fatigue and all of these different labels and illnesses. And eventually, as I grew and became more educated, I spent 20 years as an IRS agent. So when you talk about research, Emily, yes, I became a very big researcher, and I decided that I was getting off of all of those labels and medications. And then I came up with, after a divorce, a cancer diagnosis. And I was done. I was finished, absolutely finished with being in that medical wheelhouse. And I said, no, I'm doing this holistically. And denied all treatments and such, and knew that all health and disease would begin in the gut. And so then that began my journey, and that's becomes my message. Some people just don't know what they don't know, and they really don't know how good you can feel, like Emily said, until you're feeling it. And so that's what brought me into the holistic chamber, was just to really educate people, bring awareness, education, and access to modalities that would actually heal instead of just treat symptoms. So that's my goal. That's why I do what I do.
Well, I love what you just said, and it does just touch on the beauty of HCC. When I was a president of the local chapters, so often it didn't matter if someone was in our area 2 months or 20 years or 2 weeks or anything in between. They weren't connecting with one another. And what we all do is integrative and work together and share wisdom and health practices. And so it's a really nice community. So I'm just glad you mentioned that, because that's what this is right here. We're doing a community education panel, coming together in a synergistic collective way to share these passionate topics. So thank you for that. All right, well, let's dig in a little bit deeper, because we're here to talk about how to strengthen our immune system. And Dr. Tracy, you touched on something I think that all of us realize, or maybe they don't realize what electrical health is, or they do maybe understand that somewhere or some way that we have an electrical system, but how important is it, and how does it relate to the immune system?
Well, thanks. Actually, as a wellness chiropractor, wellness doctor for over 25 years, that's been my passion, is to keep people well. And literally, electrical health never crossed my mind. I didn't even think about it, because I guess early on I didn't need to, but now, because we have a detrimental effect, the electrical magnetic fields, what they do briefly is they affect our mitochondria, they affect our cell membranes. And because we're electric, our heart, our brain, right? If our heart stops, what do? They use a defibrillator to bring the heart back to life. How do you measure brain waves? Electroencephalograms, right? It's electric. Our muscles, how do you test muscle strength, right? It's muscle conductivity, which is electric. And even our atoms are electric. Okay, so we are literally an electric being. And I never really, even all the training I had, I never really thought about it until a few years ago. And as 3G turned into 4G, which 4G is now turned into 5G, 5G is extremely strong electrical magnetic fields. And they affect us at the cellular level. Our calcium channels, which help to regulate opening and closing for our cells to function, are affected by electrical magnetic fields. Our cell membranes, which control things that are good and bad coming out of the cells. We're talking about, Alice is talking about gut health. Well, they're all part of this puzzle that we all are coming together. If you can do them all, that would be awesome. Then you have this healthy person. So I've decided to focus on the electrical side, because there really wasn't anybody doing it. So that's why we developed Magnitude Jewelry. We have special biomagnets that help increase your electrical energy at a cellular level. So when the electrical magnetic fields are taking your energy away at that cellular level, when you put a very strong magnet in your energy field, magnetism and electrical fields are tied together. So when you put that strong magnet field in your electrical field, you automatically increase your electrical field from what's being taken away. So we were talking about, I was watching the TV today, and someone was talking about chronic fatigue and brain fog and aches and pains and inflammation in the body. And all of those things you can attribute to having electrical magnetic fields around you. So not always, but it is one of the things to look at that people aren't looking at.
I love that. And as you're talking, I'm looking around at the rest of us here, the rest of the panelists, and you're talking about the overall electrical system. And I'm thinking of Emily with water going in. I'm thinking of Deb with food, food going in, and the gut-brain access and everything. Everything that we're talking about, you four ladies, are intertwined. All are necessary. I always talk about emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, that those four bodies need to be in balance. But here, the four of you are sharing why we need a little bit of all of these pieces to make everything whole. So thank you for that. All right, Deb, do you want to maybe add to anything about electrical system, or do you want to talk more about immune system and food? And I know supplementation and all other things that you talk about, because that is what's your take on why food is important for the immune system? Here, I'll condense it.
Okay. Well, there's many ways to solve any problem, and nature is pretty smart. And the more I learn, the more I really see the relevance of nature in powerful, powerful ways that really are not commonly understood out in the mainstream these days. And for example, oregano, which is a spice, and there's every level of not so good an oregano to a really high grade medicinal grade oregano. And oregano is one of those smart ones that can attack various pathogens. For example, it can look at and decipher pathogens' membranes and melt the membrane of a coronavirus. Well, there's different kinds of coronaviruses, right? And right now we're looking at different types, strains of that original one coming out, and people being all concerned and frightened and so forth. It's very interesting to see what Western medicine has done with the mRNA vaccines. And those are oftentimes the lipid structure that covers what is being injected. It's a petroleum product. So how is that really going to work in the body? How will the natural immunity react with that? Natural immunity is based on thousands and millions, really, of years of evolution in all these plants and the different bacterias and even fungi and various other viruses, that we are a very complex system. So to have some powerful knowledge of things like the herbs, and I'm sure Alice has been very much involved with some of the fermented foods and the knowledge of that as well, because wow, the gut is really involved. I so agree with you there, Alice. That's the good place to start with so many things. But also the electromagnetic fields, I've got one, and I found that it was helping.
I've got one. I know, this is crazy, right? You got a groupie thing going on, Dr. Tracy. You will be getting one.
Yeah, well, it enhances all of the things that we were talking about, all of these different solutions, like the gut line at a cellular level, everything's to absorb the nutrients, right? It helps all of what you guys are talking about do their job better.
Awesome. I think I'm going to jump over to Alice, since we're kind of already talking about food and gut, and then I'll jump over to you, Emily, just to talk a little bit more about water, because I love that subject. So talk a little bit more about what your specific platform is with the gut-brain axis and all that, because I know the microbiome is key and everyone's talking about it these days.
Yes, and I'm so glad to hear everybody is becoming a lot more aware of it and doing their research. And one of the things with leaky gut is, that term is thrown around, and what happens in the gut with our SAD diet, which is, not eating the best foods foods that are medicine, but food can either be your healer or your disease, right? And as we put these toxins, and there's really toxins everywhere, toxins in your products, toxins in your food, in the air, the water, right? And everything, and it goes through the digestive system, and it affects the digestive system. So I guess when I talk about leaky gut, all of these things, it's permeable. So it gets little holes in the digestive tract, right? Mm-hmm. And when that happens, we get all kinds of, little tiny holes, right? It's not like a wetsuit. A wetsuit gets a little poke in it and it'll seal up. We are not like that. Like these little things happen over time, and I am not, you know, I'm in my 50s, so you can imagine how much damage I've done. I grew up on antibiotics. I grew up on, peanut butter and fluffernutter. Anybody else have that? Like, what is fluffernutter anyway? Like, what is in these foods that are allowed on our shelves?
Marshmallow cream. I'm just saying.
Marshmallow cream. That's it. I called it fluffernutter. But I mean, and all of the things that are given to us, we assume as Americans are safe. Right, and they're actually very toxic to our body. So the leaky gut, if we can seal that leaky gut and absorb the nutrients the way they're supposed to be absorbed, and then be able to pass our food the way it's supposed to, and eliminate the toxins that are in us, then we can really eliminate a lot of things, such as the brain fog and that gut brain, axis of having, a clear mind that is also one that mind, body, soul, right? So you actually can have a clearer spiritual life as well. So
Love it.
yeah, a chronic fatigue, all of these other things that happen because of a leaky gut. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. And
we'll come back
to heal and seal.
Got more to ask you. Well, it's the perfect segue because we're talking about relieving toxins and flushing them out. So perfectly, we would go over and talk to Emily. And Emily, just for the people, and by the way, we have a wonderful growing audience here tonight, and there are some real powerhouses in themselves here watching. So we will be addressing some of your questions as well as we can weave them in. But for the most part, let's just say the general population may know that alkaline water is better because, say, cancer and other disease can't live in an alkaline environment. But take it a little step further, being an expert, what does that really mean with the filtration systems that you specifically represent? And what does that mean in terms of pH, so people can really understand why all water is not created equal?
Awesome. So I'll actually use an example. In the case of metal toxicity, for example, the metal has to latch on to something like magnesium, which is a pH part of our pH buffering system in our body, in order to detox it out, through our waste, like, when we use the bathroom and stuff. And that's how we actually get rid of a lot of toxins, is they attach to different minerals in our pH buffering system. So if we are constantly, like Deb mentioned, just overloading our bodies with toxins, not everyone has the same ability and open pathways to detox their bodies. So if someone isn't sweating, using the bathroom every single day, drinking enough water to give the pathway that facilitator to remove the toxins, then that is just building up and building up. It's causing gut health issues, and it's causing issues on, being able to absorb nutrients as well. So with the water that I work with, I loved what Dr. Tracy does, or what she does. And I have one of her necklaces as well, which I'm loving it. I've been wearing it for about 2 days now, and it definitely helps me with not getting stressed out. Yeah, it's not, I'm not as tired when I'm staring at the screen all day, because this is what I do. So I love that she mentioned about the electrical charge, because this water that I work with, Kangen water, it is measured in millivolts. So Dr. Tracy knows what I'm talking about, but we can measure the antioxidant power of this water in millivolts with something called an ORP meter. So ORP stands for oxidation reduction potential. So the potential to reduce oxidization. Oxidization is the aging process. It is, the damage that we are receiving from free radical damage 10,000 times a day from the 5G, from being on our electronics, from polluted air, water, and food, right?
Yep.
So
how many people are, oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I'm just saying, besides, I know the four of us are going to raise our hand. And how many people are watching this all wish we knew what she knew when we were her age? Yes. By the way, you have a question from Colleen. She's saying, what water system do you recommend? And what are your thoughts about ozone water? Good question. Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes. So I recommend a dual system. I work with a filtration system from a company called MultiPure. The reason I chose them is because they're NSF certified, meaning they're heavily tested by a third party and proven to take out everything they say they do, including PFOAs. If you don't know what they are, we can never detoxify from PFOAs. We can only—
Can you explain what that is for people who don't know?
Yes. So a PFOA that's our Teflon products, anything that is water resistant. It's on our nonstick pans. Please throw them out and get natural nonstick pans. Every time that you are coming in contact with this, it's a man-made chemical that cannot be broken down by anything on this earth, including our bodies. It causes a range of issues, which just Google it or watch the movie Dark Waters. Yeah. So MultiPure, they remove all of that. And every time a new chemical comes out, because here in the US, we love to be, nifty and bring up new chemicals all the time from companies like, 3M and DuPont. And so whenever these chemical companies create new chemicals, the MultiPure already handles it. So I feel really safe choosing them because they're already ahead of the game. And then I also work with Kangen water, which was the water that I was mentioning that is living water that is abundant in antioxidants. So, and it also creates 6 other types of waters that aren't drinking, but also when we're talking about immune health, especially in times of Corona, it creates a water called hypochlorous acid. It kills all known virus, bacteria, and fungi in about 15 seconds. But our white blood cells create it, so there's no adverse reaction with skin or with ingesting. So a baby can drink it, but it's stronger than bleach. So it's extremely helpful. So I recommend that dual system, MultiPure to clean the water, Kangen water to change the form of the water so that it can be used all over. And then as far as ozone water, I would say that it has benefits, but a lot of these waters, ozone, RO, RO is reverse osmosis, I'm sorry, they are all still acidic. And that is an issue that comes down to, overworking our pH buffering system, because a lot of people can say that, oh, well, we can't change the pH of our blood and blah, blah, blah. Correct, we cannot. But we can deplete our pH buffering system, make our body working harder, and which causes to a lot of other issues down the road. So we want our pH buffering system to work less by providing our body with antioxidants to help it do some of the work.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, that was wonderful. Deb mentioned COVID, coronavirus. Emily, I think we all have that on our mind, whether vaccinations, not vaccinations, been sick, haven't been sick. Let's address that, because that is obviously key on many people's minds still. And so I'd like to just start with Dr. Tracy, move over to Deb, Alice, and we'll kind of circle back. What I'd love to just have everybody give some feedback on your world, your thoughts, your business, your protocols. Just, keep it brief, but maybe just everyone talk a little bit about this subject, because I know inquiring minds want to know.
Right. And, perfect. Thank you. As a wellness doctor, you're going to look at the entire body, right? And so you kind of have each of us segmented on this program, which is great. So we're each kind of staying in our lane. So that's what I've been doing for all these years, is to look at all those different areas: physical, chemical, emotional. So I'll let you guys, the gut health, obviously very important. Water health. I mean, that was great information, and I've studied it even more than I knew. So that's awesome. So you've got to look at the whole body: physical, chemical, emotional. So what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're breathing, to keep your immunity up. My job has been to keep people away from drugs and surgery if possible my entire life. So I'll stay in my lane, which is the electrical thing for today. In the electrical health, I don't go outside with COVID going all over without all of my jewelry, because I'm bringing up my magnetism in my body, because it increases your immunity. Your immunity is being pulled at, just like it's being pulled at in the gut lining, it's being pulled at in your electrical health at a cellular level. So one of the aspects of health would be to take care of your electrical health: physical, chemical, electrical. So putting on these magnets that increase your cellular energy, because mitochondria are being affected. So that's I would say my lane is to keep your cells functioning at a higher level so they can do all the other things that you ladies are talking about that they need to do as well.
Thank you. And it's okay that we can cross lanes. That's fine too.
I'm trying to stay, like not step on, because I can talk about,
I can talk about any of these topics too, and you can't. We all what makes us dynamic and what we do is that we're so experienced in a multitude of things, and that yet we do have a particular platform. So I think that's wonderful that all of us can share. But yes, so if there's overlap, yeah, you could second it or add on to something, and all good. A couple people. I'm just going to switch over to Deb now. And by the way, I don't want to forget, because now I've seen 2 or 3 people are asking about the chocolate. So they want to know where, you have to follow up on the immune system part of the chocolate discussion, Deb. But then also let's bring in COVID a little. And while you're doing that, it got so dark where I'm at, I have to turn on another light. So Deb, take it away. Talk about all the things that you know, and definitely mention the chocolate. You're making me want some right now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let's start with chocolate, because chocolate is one of those powerful foods that does a lot of things. There was even a recent study that concluded that the coronavirus could be impacted and disabled by chocolate, by green tea, and by muscadine grapes. And this was done in a university. So it was a decent study. And there are so many studies in the Conquering Any Disease, high phytochemical food healing system that really show us the power of nature and how coronavirus shells can be melted by even, believe it or not, coconut oil. And so this sort of thing is actually out there. Once you begin to understand the power of nature in the foods and in certain herbal remedies that exist, Chinese medicine has some amazing stuff. We have a couple of things that are, one of our practitioners calls them chin chin, because it's too long to pronounce all the Gan Mao Ling and Yin Chao. But there are 2 different things we think should be in everybody's medicine chest, because they are so darn powerful. And when the COVID-19 hit hard in Wuhan, there was primarily just Western medicine going on there. Most of their Chinese medicine hospitals have kind of been relegated to the side. They have a few left, but it's mostly Western medicine. But whenever one of these viruses comes along, well, the powers that be, they go out and find those old herbalists again, the doctors of Oriental medicine, and they bring them in. And in this case, they brought them into Wuhan. And they found that people had so little energy, they were so almost morbid, they didn't have the energy to moan. And they diagnosed what was going on. They brought in herbs. The next day, 24 hours after that, they discovered that when they came back in, the people could all speak a little bit. Some of them could sit up in bed, and they had a few of them doing a little bit of breathing exercises. So there was a rapid turnaround with the Chinese herbs that they brought in. So, you cannot discount nature and the power of people over thousands of years to figure stuff out using nature that works with our bodies so well. So I would just say that when you understand enough about that, and you think about what else is going on right now, will we ever get past this? That must be occurring to some of you. Will we ever get past this? There's always a new variant. There's a new thing here, a new thing there. Well, boosting and supporting and really honoring the foods and the medicines that are there in the natural world will help many people once you understand it. And my husband and I help to educate people about this. It's my passion to research. I've written articles. Go check our website, Lotus Blossom Clinic. There are a number of articles about the virus and how the body works with nature's medicine. I'm just so excited to say that you can go out. You can get out there. You need to have a good, solid protocol that works for you, that you believe in, that you can do every day, whatever that is. There's a number of different things. And add in jewelry, add in the water. These things are clearly important. Add in the knowledge of the gut and the various ways that you can support the immune system in your gut, where so much starts. I mean, I could go on and on, as you know.
No, I know that. you have a lot of wisdom to share, and I'm glad that we have you on the panel tonight. There are people asking what the Chinese herbs are, and I would just say maybe just put that in the comment section later. Yes, this will be replayed. There's lots of questions, so I'm bouncing back and forth. There are lots of people asking about the water system, so we will get to all these questions. Linda Baltas, great person to know. She will get in touch with you, Emily. Okay, good. So let's just move on. Alice, what do you want to share? Anything about COVID, coronavirus, anything in your world important you want to share about this?
Oh, in my world, yes. Boosting the immune system, obviously, everybody knows this discussion, right? And it's been going on since COVID had started, and it's our conversation in the holistic world, right? And the whole point of these education panels is to make this conversation a little more mainstream. That, you know, thinking about your water, thinking about the herbs, thinking about, you know, us as beings also being energetic beings, like we are giving off energy, and you know, so the magnitude jewelry, all of that fits in there. And then internally inside of our bodies, in order to have that energy, in order to have that thriving life, and to be able to create an alkaline environment for true immunity, for all sorts of things, just not COVID, but you know, specifically with COVID, when we have this leaky gut issue, our body is constantly fighting a stress, whether it's stress that's mental or you stub your toe, your body doesn't know the difference. It's stress, right? So we're going through this stressful time, and it affects your gut. And so specifically, one of the products that we have is with a nucleotide. And nucleotide, you can Google that as well and look it up, but it is boosting the immune system. It is the spackle for the leaky gut. And it creates the healing process so that we can fill those holes and then start feeding the digestive tract, which something called tributylin, which is a, you know, I'm not sure if y'all, you know this. I won't get into all the details, but in order to seal that leaky gut and to be able to feed it the appropriate nutrients that it needs so that it can absorb it, tributylin is one of those that we use, and it creates the good bacteria, which also good fermented foods and everything else can help with that as well. But this is basically talking to a community of people who are not familiar with all of the herbs and all of the jewelry and all of these other things. This is a simple system that we use to help create an immune system that starts in the gut. So basically, in order to have a strong immune system, you have to have a healthy gut, and you do need an alkaline environment. So all of us provide a different modality to get there, but obviously my focus is on healing the leaky gut, and it's a conversation that is definitely needed in mainstream. Right, you know.
No question.
Yeah.
Well, these panels are specifically meant to be as an authority, as to be for mainstream, that they come to the Holistic Chamber of Commerce to learn about all these concepts and modalities, practices, and integrative complementary everything. So they know that we are that resource, that they can come and learn from qualified experts who've done the research. And so this is evidence of that. So you're all modeling that. So thank you. Emily, anything you want to add to the conversation about COVID or coronavirus before we move on?
I think we covered it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we did too. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to circle back. There is a question, and it's important, and Tina just addressed it. And I know it's a little bit of it's not really a segue, but when we're talking about inflammation, that obviously goes hand in hand with the immune system, right? So when our body's inflamed, it's our, there is something going on with the immune system that's, going a little bit out of havoc. So if you're okay, does anyone jump in and want to comment on what you do? And I can just kind of go back in the order. Dr.
Sure.
Tracy, I think you're about to jump in. And I think that's important because that is definitely connected to what we're talking about here today.
Yeah. So, I mean, inflammation is probably the crux of every single disease that we have. I mean, whether it's diabetes or heart disease or, arthritis, I mean, everything has an inflammatory part of it. So it is extremely important to keep that under control. And when you're looking at this panel, I mean, I don't think one is more important than another, whether you're talking about gut health, you're talking about electrical health, you're talking about food health, water health, they're all important. They're all layers of health. And you can't you wouldn't do just one and not do anything else, because
Holistic.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's why we're all here. It's holistic. So what can I do to eat better? What can I do? What vitamins can I take? What nutrients can I eat? What kind of food should I eat? What air should I be breathing? How do I protect myself electrically? They're all related, and they all are going to help our body do what they're supposed to do, which is have these anti-inflammatory properties. One of the things that electromagnetic field, since I'll talk about that, it increases inflammation in our body, which then increases every other disease that we have in the body. So I keep bringing that up because it really isn't in the forefront. I've been talking about food for years and vitamins for years, but it is fairly new, the electrical side, and it is causing inflammation in the body. It's amazing to me because I get these testimonies now that it's beyond my thoughts in what we were going to create and what we would help people with this jewelry, that the inflammation that's taking place by our bodies being irritated by the electrical magnetic fields, it creates this in our system. Lots of research, by the way. If you go to magnitudejewelry.com, I have a wellness and research tab, tons of stuff on electrical magnetic fields, tons of stuff on magnets. I do research every day on this subject because it's now my passion. But the inflammatory portion, I don't think you can deal with one without the other. You got to look at this holistically. So I'll let you
Thank
guys
you.
Yeah. Can I jump in too and just say that
I was calling on you next, Deb, so it's perfect.
okay. So you can do a lot with food, and sometimes it's difficult still to get on top of the whole thing. And so I've had one condition, probably based on a fall that I took, that I just couldn't completely get rid of the inflammation, and things just wouldn't settle right. And it was structural even, and I just couldn't seem to keep the femur in just so from that fall. And I'll tell you, I have not had that trouble. And dancing works really well again. Thank you, Dr. Tracy.
Wow. Well, thank you.
That's excellent. Anybody else want to comment on inflammation in regards to what you do, Emily?
Yeah, I'll pop one. So yes, so the Kangen water, why it's so special with changing the form of the water is because it is basically allowing for H2, which is active hydrogen, to be present. So it's an extreme antioxidant, and it's a selective and bioavailable. What that means is that it's only targeting the negative areas, the free radicals, and neutralizing them, which is reducing inflammation. So it has extreme anti-inflammatory properties, and allows the body to have, a lower baseline of inflammation present all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if the people listening and all of us together, including ourselves, did everything we were all talking about, and we the proper nutrients in our water and our electrical. I mean, that's what we're all talking about, right? To bring your health up to the highest level that you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No question.
If I can pop in for just a second again on the chocolate, that was what happened. And by the way, Emily, so did the water help. So we use the water, and the chocolates that I found actually removed, and it was something I could feel. It was a roly-poly thing on the back of my neck. It actually removed that after 6 weeks. Chocolate, yes, you had to have your chocolate medicine 3 times a day. Yeah, it's terrible, awful. So there's fun things about this as well. Lots of ways to help with inflammation, and use them all. Use what works. I mean, continue exploring until you find answers, because they're out there.
Well, we knew that when we created the Food Healing Oracle deck, we saw how important this was. But recently with our smoothie recipe book, we've added chocolate and cacao into a lot of our recipes specifically for that, because our word for it is indulgence, but it's indulging in taking care of your health, indulging in self-care, indulging in making yourself matter. And I think that's what we're all sharing here today. We can go on and on. This can be a 2-3 hour discussion. But as we start to wind this down, we will want to just maybe share how people can get to know you a little bit more, and if there's any special offers for the people who have been here tonight and who may listen to the replay. We do get a lot of people who go ahead and watch this on YouTube and LinkedIn. Holistic Chamber has, I think, over 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. So we have a pretty huge network, and then there'll be people outside. So let's just talk about if anyone wants to offer up something special for being here tonight. I know that we may need to even do a part 2 to this. I don't know, but we do really appreciate all of your wisdom. I know we're just scratching the surface, but what can we say? So does anyone want to share anything special you'd like to offer everybody tonight?
Sure. Yeah, I'll
Go
start.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So with, I would love for you guys to check out our jewelry. It's interchangeable, biomagnetic. You've never seen anything like that. All of these pieces, they come off and they attach back on, and they have a beautiful magnet so it's really pretty to see. So if you can
Dr. Tracy, go a little bit higher, because your name, I want people to see what we're talking about. Here, we could all do it at the same time. Just kidding. Go ahead.
So these pieces, they actually interchange. They come off and they attach on. You can change them out. Okay, I just have a fancy one on, but you can do anything here. So these pieces just come off and on, and they're attached by a very, very strong neodymium 4,000 Gauss magnet, strongest magnet on the planet. There isn't anything. So all the research has been done with Gauss magnets, about 2,000 Gauss. These are 4,000. Our earrings, our bracelets, beautiful pieces. You wouldn't know that they're healthy. So if you could check out Magnitude with an E, because it's a magnet. So you'll see it here, magnitudejewelry.com. If you go to info@Magnitude Jewelry and just go say, hey, I saw you on HCC, would love to have for more information, I'd be happy to respond to you. Or if you do that and you check in, just say you saw us, give me your email address and your name. We're going to enter you into a drawing to win $100 in free jewelry. So just put your name in with an email.
Wait, stop the presses.
Stop. Yes.
What did you just say? You at info?
Info at
Magnitude Jewelry.
Info@Magnitude.
No, I'm just saying for everybody else. I know there are people who are like, did she just say $100?
I did. $100. Just give me your name, and we will enter you into a drawing. So
beautiful. All right, thank you for that. Anyone else want to share an offer?
Well, we've got one at Lotus Blossom Clinic, and it's a free consultation with my husband, Dr. David Martine, and myself to design a customized immunity kit for you. And it's the first 3 people who contact us that will be able to get that free one. We, of course, can do telemedicine, and so you can always contact me at deb@lotusblossomclinic.com, LOTUSBLOSSOM clinic.com.
Excellent. Alice or Emily?
I do have something, and I'd love to be able to address that. You'll see Healing Rebel there. I have healingrebel.com, and it tells a bit of my story, and we talk about the products. There's 3 products that are called the Triad, and check that out. Do the same thing. Contact me. Let me know that you saw us on the community HCC Community Education Panel, and I will put you in a drawing. I'll have 2 drawings actually, one for the Triad and then one for the Amped Up Coffee, which also helps with that gut-brain axis. But I would love to be able to do more education, discuss how we can heal the gut. But this is a perfect triad of products to help not only heal the gut, but then to fortify it, and then, really amp up that gut-brain axis. So
awesome.
Healingrebel.com.
Love it. Thank you. Emily.
You're welcome.
So I want to offer everyone for the whole second quarter of the year. We have a 30-day trial where you can try the water system in your house. I know someone in the comments asked, do you get the water delivered? Is it a house system? You can try it for 30 days. If you don't feel any difference and you want to return it, I will personally, out of my own pocket, pay the restocking fee. And that will go for the whole second quarter of the year. And under the only condition that you not just mention HCC, but we actually have a conversation. because I really am about education, and I don't want to just sell someone a product and then they're just trying to figure out, everything. This is a certified medical device in Japan. It's used in hospitals over there. And I think it's really important to know what you have and use it properly to its full potential. So under the condition that we have a conversation.
Great. And by the way, Tamara said yes to part 2. There sort of is a part 2. And why I'm just going to mention about the summit while you all are thinking about your final closing thoughts. Next Saturday, the 27th, many of us are going to be at the virtual Holistic Wellness Summit, and Deb will be leading the charge there and moderating our immunity panel, which we have one there, Immunity for Life. I think Dr. Tracy Diner is on that panel as well with some of our other experts that will be joining us. And we highly encourage you to come to this summit because there is a whole host of holistic practitioners, energy healers, teachers, exhibitors, classes that will absolutely rock your world and blow your mind, all in a setting that you haven't seen before. Very new virtual reality technology. So go to holisticwellnesssummit.com, get yourself an all access pass. We will all be there. Holistic Chamber of Commerce is one of our platinum sponsors. And many of us will be there sharing not only about immune systems, but meditation and conscious parenting. And we do have a food for healing the body temple panel that Deb Martin will also be moderating. So please join us over there. It will be an extraordinary way to learn more about everything that we're talking about. And then you'll be able to pop into the exhibiting booths of every single person here and learn more about what they're doing, including Dr. Tracy will have her own booth there. So thank you. holisticwellnesssummit.com. All right, ladies, we are at that time where we need to just kind of wind it down and see if you have any final, well, I know you do. You all can speak forever. How about you, Dr. Tracy? We'll just kind of go in that order. Deb, and then Alice, and then Emily to bring it home. Some final thoughts about tonight.
All right. Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys and thank everyone for their time and their interest in their own health to be able to listen to us, that they're taking those steps. That's the most important thing. And to take advantage of everything that all of this panel is offering, because all of it's important to keep well. So that's what I would have to say. I would love for you to also check out the website, as we said. But thank you guys for your time and taking interest in what we are all talking about.
Excellent. Thank you, Deb.
Okay, so chocolate is kind of a theme tonight for me. And I just wanted to let you know that there are different kinds of chocolates. We do carry some at the clinic. I'm happy to share all information about chocolate as medicine. We have, I have a bunch of articles under the library on our website. And just the journey with food is so wonderful. Chocolate is a gateway to better health because you just start to want different things. You're re-educating your gut by what you're feeding it. Chocolate is a favorite food of your probiotic bacteria in your gut. So chocolate, what can I say? Oh, and also, Lainie mentioned indulgence in the Food Healing Oracle deck is chocolate. So I actually put together and did a meditation.
Yes, you did.
That's on the Food Healing Oracle deck, available for sale for $1.99. So
go get it. Run to it. So it's foodhealingdeck.com. Go check that out. That's where our deck is, and that's where her meditation is. And I highly recommend it. And she has really good wisdom in that meditation.
You know, when I did my Oracle deck, it was chocolate also, indulgence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Something to say? Go read what it says about there. But yeah, her meditation is terrific. Okay, are you complete, Deb, or anything else?
I'm complete, thanks.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, Alice.
Hey, okay, so thank you very much for this panel. This is the first time I've done the community education panel with the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, although I do wellness talks as well with the Charleston one, the Charleston, South Carolina Chamber. And I love this community, and I love that we've scratched the surface here. There is so much more to discuss, and I want to go into an all-out teaching session about leaky gut and healing the gut. And so I look forward to the summit as well. But I look forward to more education like this and having people understand more of how our bodies were created to heal themselves. A Band-Aid does not heal it, right? So these modalities, including healing the gut internally, it can create a much happier life. And everybody's looking for happiness, right? Like, are you happy is a great question to start with. And by healing your body and reducing stress and creating a very alkaline environment, you can achieve that, and you can do it naturally. So that's how I did become the healing rebel, was because, eventually people will learn that treating the symptoms and chasing the symptoms isn't going to help. Inflammation, all of these other, diseases and conditions that we're treating with medical care. And I'm not anti-medical care. I don't even want to pretend that there isn't a place for doctors. We can work holistically and medicinally with them. But if let's say my best friend is going through chemo and she's killing her body with all of the toxins, right? But in the meantime, holistically, we can still be rebuilding and repairing the body. And so that is my platform, and that is where I start, which is in the gut. And I would love to have the conversation. And, the offer that was given also is for the month of March, because March is Women's Month, it's Wellness Month, it's autoimmune, and, autoimmune begins in the gut. So I love these conversations. And so for this month, that offer is good. That's the drawing at the end of the month. I'll draw that. So
and I'll have to ditto that. I didn't say when it was for. It's the end of the month will be the drawing. So anybody that goes to info@magnitudejewelry.com, it will be at the end of the month. We'll do that drawing. So thanks, Alice. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
Magical
perfect.
March. I love it. Okay, great. Emily,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I want to start with that. I've learned a lot. I'm connecting so many dots, and I just feel really grateful to be knowing this at my age and be having this kind of jump start. And I agree with everything you guys are saying. I would say to the audience, a lot of people are getting their stimulus checks, their tax returns. Invest in your health, invest in yourself. Like, it pays the biggest dividends. It's going to be the thing that carries us to the end, right? Is this vessel that we have on this earth right now. So I would say to do that. And on the topic of water, just go ahead and Google, like, why is water important to immune health? And then imagine having a water that is, hundreds of times more antioxidants than green tea or, the water that you're drinking right now, and how you would be able to detox and keep your body healthy with a much more potent water. And I feel like that's what I would leave off on, because you guys all touched on everything that was in my head. So thank you.
Well, I'm certainly inspired, to say the least, even blown away. Thank you for everybody. I'm actually inspired to throw in an offer. If you write to me, and I can't say through the month of March because next week is the summit, but if you write to Lainie, write down my name, Lainie at holisticchamberofcommerce.com. I will just say enter, or it says subject line, and I will be picking a raffle for a free ticket to come next week to the summit. So I'd love to see anyone who writes to me there. I'll be doing a drawing, and I will make sure that the winner will be notified. So a couple things before we complete here. One is, if you're an HCC member, I hope you all are. If you aren't, please see me, because I would love for you to be a member so you can take part in this even more. You will be receiving not only a replay of this, a recording, but you will also be getting an email from corporate that will be reiterating all these wonderful offers we've shared here tonight. So rest assured, we will do our best to put them in the comment section, and you will also see some follow-up emails that have the replay and have all the offers. We will also be actively, we'll have information as well in the HCC Global private Facebook page. So we'll make sure you get this information. And again, these replays will be live on Facebook. They can be shared, LinkedIn, and YouTube channel in perpetuity. So they are there to share these with your friends far and wide. So thank you. I'm so glad that we were able to have this incredible time together. These panels are making a big difference, and we've only had a few. So next month, is April, and we have our Canna panel. What is a Canna panel? We are bringing in HCC experts to talk about cannabis, THC, CBG, hemp, everything in this entire exploding another area of discussion for immunity and inflammation and everything else. Make sure you catch these. All of our panels are the third Thursdays of the month at the same time. And if you are interested in HEC, learning more about what we do and how we can work together to build your business and share your gifts, please get in touch with me. All right, blessings to everyone. Stay well, strengthen your immune system. Go back and watch this. And thank you to all of our panels, especially Dr. Diner, Dr. Tracy, who sponsored this and made this possible with Magnitude Jewelry.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies, stay on with me. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. Blessings. Take care and hope to see you next week at the summit. Take care. Bye-bye.